Hello book besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ash and you are watching Smokedshelves. Welcome back to the floor of my bedroom next to my very packed shelves. We don't talk about this situation. It is a lot. We don't talk about it. That's not what we're here for. We are here to, as the title suggests, talk about my worst and most disappointing reads of 2021. Because unfortunately, not every book can be a smash and some of them are going to be flops, and that sucks because I would personally really love if all of my books were top hits, but cannot be the case all the time. Let's talk about them. I have 7 books for this video. Yep, 7 books for this video. I'm going to try not to be harsh on these books, mostly because I've probably already hated on a few of these books pretty viscerally in recent videos, specifically one, but yeah, let's be nice to these books. Most of them are just disappointments, and then I have one that I probably would consider my worst of the year. We already know which one that is, I think. As always, I have a list just off screen. If you see me looking down. Most of these I don't actually have physical copies for, which makes me okay with. Makes me feel like I did not waste my money. A couple I do. They're more like disappointing reads, but maybe I'll end up reading other things by these authors. I don't know. I never know. Let's just jump straight into it. Let's make this quick because like I said, I don't want to be too harsh on these, so I will just give basic rundowns of why these didn't work for me. And I know reading is subjective, so some of the books that were in my favorites video might not be your favorites, and some that are in my most disappointing video / worst books might be your favorites, and I understand. The first book, and these are pretty much in no particular order, the first book on my list, and I want all my friends who love this book, once they see it pop on the screen, to just look away because I'm so sorry, is Summer Suns by Lee Mandello. This book, how do I talk about this book? I really wanted to like this. It has so much going for it that I figured I would like, because it was basically like pitched in a way that me, someone who loved like Raven Cycle and All for the Game, would really like, because it was pitched in the sense that it's like kind of similar to those. It's like repressed queer identities, fast cars, summer, small town vibes, but horror. And I'm like, yeah, that checks off a lot of boxes because Raven Cycle is summer, small town vibes, not horror, repressed queer identities. Yeah, you know what I'm getting at. Offering kind of similar, fast cars, repressed queer identities, things like that. So it had a lot in the making for me to love it. However, I was just bored, which sucks. I just genuinely wonder if horror is not for me, because it is not the only book. It's the only book that I put on this list, but it's not the only book of the year that I read that was like small town horror, queer vibes, which should have checked a lot of boxes for me, and it just didn't work. And so it makes me wonder if horror is just not the genre for me. And I was trying to branch out into it this year and read a few things that were horror, but I just didn't vibe with any of the books that I read, and that sucks. I felt like it was so slow, and I'm usually not someone to dislike slow pacing, but this was not it for me. And I really just couldn't connect with the characters. I'm a very character-based reader. Yeah, the horror didn't really feel horror-y to me. It wasn't really ever like gripping the edge of my seat reading this / listening to the audiobook, because that's how I did that. It's unfortunate because I really wanted to like it, and a lot of my friends absolutely adored it, and it just wasn't for me. Oh, and this one was adult too, so I can't even say it's a YA horror thing. I don't know. The next book on my list that was kind of just disappointing to me was Malice by Heather Waltzer. This book is a sapphic Sleeping Beauty retelling, but we are following the villain. I'm not going to say more than that. I don't really want to give synopses for these books because I don't recommend them, so I'm not going to pitch them to y'all if you don't mind that. Let me know in the comments if you think I should pitch books, even if they're not my favorites, because I can. I just typically tend to forget books like this that are disappointing to me, so pitching them is just not easy. But this one, I very much so remember. Basically, the reason I remember is because it's meant to be like following the villain, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind following the villain. I don't mind unlikable characters. However, the I'm not like other girls vibe was so fucking strong. It was ridiculous. I don't like that. It was very much like a other girls like to wear pretty dresses and like do this, and I don't. And I don't like when girls do that. Yeah. I'm like, I can't. Like, just let people do it. And then like you fall in love with a princess, and she's just like all the other girls. Why are you separating her from everybody else? I get that like the other girls in this book are not the nicest either, but don't hate on them for liking like traditionally feminine things, even though you don't. But you kind of do, you know? I think she got a little bit better by the end, but I couldn't do it. She wasn't redeemable to me. It's just always something that kind of irks me, is that I don't like other girls' vibe. Unfortunate, but true. So this was you know? However, it's a duology and I might just still read the sequel. Should I? Should I? Is it worth it? If you've read the duology, like the second book in this duology, if I didn't like the first one, would I like the second one? Does she get better? Let me know. I feel like there's hope. Or I'm just putting myself up for more disappointment in 2022. Who knows? It's one or the other. The next one that I have, I genuinely don't really remember this book pretty much at all. It is Sincerely Enemies by Kelsey Stelting, except I also think it's been changed the name of, and it's Dear Adam by Kelsey Stelting. So what was this book even about? It was about we're following the characters and they interact. That's what I'm talking about. I genuinely found them super forgettable. They're unmemorable. All I know is that male love interest, he ended up writing like advice columns, kind of like a Dear Amy? What is it like traditionally called? I'll put it up in like a quote or something. But it was Dear Adam instead. And yeah, so he was doing that to forget like college or class credit. They ended up working together for some reason, or she sent him letters and they connected. I legitimately don't remember. I just remember it being really poor pacing. Did not love the writing. I think I listened to it in audio and it's just, I could not follow along. I could not keep my attention. I was just bored. Is it really most disappointing if it's like the least well-known book on my read of the year? I think according to Goodreads, I'll put that up if it's true. Maybe not, but also, you know, I like to find underground or indie authors, and this author I'd been seeing ads for other books, and so I was like, all right, let me give a shot. So I'm a little disappointed and I don't know if I should read their other books. Just wasn't it. My next one is another disappointing read of the year, and my last like disappointing read, and then we're gonna move on to worst reads of the year. And so this most disappointing one is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. This one felt like nothing happened. All I remember is that we were following two sisters. The whole concept is they're trying to find each other, the whole book. But it was so boring. I swear, y'all, I'm trying to be nice about the way I speak about these books. It's been a while since I read this. I know a lot of people love this book, so I'm definitely the unpopular here. And it's meant to be dystopian, but it just did not feel dystopian. The twist was like, in my mind, super obvious. I think my main issue was once the twist was revealed, we still had like a good third of the book to go. And I'm like, what? And so it just became like ethics type conversation. Ethics, morality, whatever the term is that I'm trying to think of. It became like a conversation in terms of like, what is consciousness? And I don't want to give away anything. It's just, if you read the book, you know what the twist is. Do you agree with me that it should have just like ended pretty much right there? Because I feel like this book just went way too long. And it's not even that long of a book. I swear it's way less thick than it looks like in the video. I feel like it looks way more. I promise it's really not that large. It's like 370 pages, and I think the twist was like page 250 or something. I was really hoping to enjoy it because I do love like this type of technology dystopian story. It was pitched to me like a Black Mirror type story, which I love. I'm down for anything that's Black Mirror, but this book just did not hit the mark. It just fell flat for me. It was not for me, but I know a lot of people really enjoyed it, so check out other people's thoughts on this before you go dismissing this, because I'm definitely the minority with this. I just really found the pacing weird. I wasn't really shocked by anything, and it felt like nothing was accomplished by the end of the book. You know, conversation-wise or plot-wise. So, those are my thoughts on this book. Except for my top worst book of the year. The other ones are all 2 stars. My top worst book of the year is 1 star. I really don't give a lot of 2 stars. That's why this video has a lot less books than my favorites books. I'm pretty much a very easy reader, but a lot of my books end up in the middle. Okay, moving into the next book, Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. Why this is in number 3 and maybe not a little bit higher on my list like it probably should be is because I continue reading with this series because I'm kind of invested in some of the characters. So it's holding me there, and I'm still willing to hold out on this freaking series. But Shatter Me, holy shit, was it hard to read. And I know a lot of people who love this series, and that's fine. Tell me how the hell you like the writing style. I cannot follow along with it. It is a choice. It is a choice of a writing style. I definitely am in the minority with this one too. It's such a popular book all around. I have a friend who adores this series. It's one of their favorite series. It is just not the series for me, I guess, right now. I think we're starting to learn a bit more about the world, which is keeping me going. And then I also like some of the characters, but not really. But when we are in Juliet's POV, which is like the main books, and like the novellas are generally, so far I've seen, are out of the main POV. But when we are in Juliet's POV, I cannot handle her like choppy writing style. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. I just don't like it. I know it's a hit for most people. I hate it. I feel like I'm struggling to follow along, the way she talks. And I'm getting frustrated with the way she talks. It's annoying. And I know she gets a little bit better in the later books. At least in book 2, she started to get a little bit better because she's like exploring the world a little bit more and like interacting. So her like internal monologue is getting a little bit better, but still it's too much. I hate the writing style. It's a very intense choice that I did not like. I just also don't like Juliet as a main character, but that's another issue separately from her internal monologue. The two of them combined together just make the whole reason why I really don't like this book. I feel like it's a poorly executed premise. Could get better, but we'll see. Right now, I'm sticking with it. Who knows how much longer? It's very, very thin wire that I'm walking on right now with a series. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I give no guarantees that I get up to whatever book 7, book 8, whatever number of books they have released right now. My next one, my number 2 worst book of the year, was Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. And this one, I feel like it would have done better had it not had so many Harry Potter references. It was unnecessary. I know the author has basically stated that they don't love that it was released with not many references, but it was too far into the editing process. And I'm like, no, you could have had that fixed. I know authors now have had published works out for a while, gone back and edited out. I think you could have done the same thing for yourself. I hope they go do that. But it was like, honestly, to the point where it was a part of the plot, how many HP references there were. What? So like, I cringed every time. I also just did not like the fact there was like emotional cheating going on. It's been so long since I've read this. I had a whole long ass Goodreads review before I even really reviewed books. I wrote a whole ass review because I really felt strongly about this book, like really strongly. And I know they're releasing a second book in the book series. And I'm like, am I tempted to do that? Are they going to mention Harry Potter again? Are we going to have similar concepts again? And like the only reprieve from this book not being my worst book of the year and being still a 2-star is the fact that I really related to the main character and how they were positioned in their family, like rank-wise, it's a really bad way of saying it, but positioned the fact that like their sibling has a disability. They were basically being a caretaker for their sibling. As someone who had a sibling that they ended up caretaking for slightly growing up, when it became of age, it was a lot of caretaking and helping out. That was like the only redeeming quality of this book. I will leave that Goodreads review down below if you would like to check it out, because I just full on go off in that review. It's very spoilery, I think, from what I remember. I think this was in February. So it's been almost a year since I read it. And I've tried to block it from my brain actively. But I do remember how intense the HP references were. Number 2 worst book of the year was that. And on to my least favorite book of the year, the worst book I've read this year. That is Longshot by Kennedy Ryan. I hate to have to bring this book up again. I really do. I cannot remember if I wrote a review for this one. I will also link it down below if I do. If I have any reviews for these books, because I feel like a lot of these time has passed and I wrote a lot of these reviews fresh off of reading them. So my reviews that I've written are probably better than what I'm saying now. So I will link anything down that I have, but I don't think I have them for all of them. Longshot. Where do I begin with Longshot? The main thing I remember, because it's kind of squished into my mind at this point, is the fact that the author did whatever they could do to basically condone cheating. They made the person that the main character is in the current relationship with be so evil of a person that you have no choice but to condone cheating. And I feel like to write a book that justifies cheating, I'm at a loss of words still with this book. I will link up a video as well where I talk about it. I think I have a couple, so I'll put those in quick succession so you can watch through them. Also just trigger warnings, heavy fucking trigger warnings for sexual assault, rape, being held at gunpoint, being threatened with murder, being abused. So many more trigger warnings. Holy shit. I don't even think I'm talking about all of them. Those are just the ones I can remember. From 2 specific scenes. There are some very graphic scenes in this book. Multiple. I don't think it's necessary. Anywho, I think it is overkill. And I really disliked that the book did this. And like I said, one day I will try Kennedy Ryan again. But today is not the day. And I will stick away from Kennedy Ryan for just a little bit longer because of how much this book hurt my soul. I'm not someone who generally needs to look at trigger warnings, but this one I kind of wish I did because I don't think I would have read it. So that says a lot about this book and how I feel about this book. This concludes my list of my most disappointing and worst books of the year, worst reads of the year. Yeah, let's hope that 2022 is a little bit better, but I think as I continue to read more books and hone in on my taste specifically, that might keep happening. But it's okay, because as many numbers of there are that are losses for me, there are many, many more hits for me. I will link up my top books of the year if I haven't already done that anyways, so you can see the ones that I absolutely gushed about, and I suggest you read those. This one, I give you caution before you go into reading them. If you have similar tastes in books, you might not like these books. And if you have similar books and tastes, you might like these books, who knows? But that's pretty much all I've got. If you like this video, please give this video a big fat like down below. I've already asked you to comment down a lot of stuff, so just comment down any of the things I've asked you if you have input about any of the books that I've read. Yeah, I don't have anything else to ask because I talked a lot about books and asked a lot about your opinions, but let me know if you agree with them. I'm so curious to know if any of our least favorite books are shared. And then finally, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. It would mean the absolute world to me if you did. And either way, I hope you choose to stick around, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!